And so it begins. We are now looking at the top 5 draft prospects, specifically for the Miami Dolphins. I normally do for the NFL in a whole, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stick with just the Miami Dolphins, and we're going to do top 5 prospects, starting with wide receivers. What is up, Finn fans? Yes, we're starting with wide receivers. I'm not doing quarterbacks because, like I said, the Dolphins aren't drafting a quarterback in the top. If I'm the Dolphins, I would like the Dolphins to draft a quarterback like Milton in like the 5th or 6th round. There's your backup, Mike White, Vile Candias. But they're not drafting one in the top 2 rounds, and then they don't have a 3rd or a 4th, so I'm not doing quarterbacks. Running backs, this draft isn't good. So I don't think they're going to draft the running back in the first 2 rounds. And again, I'm not talking 5th, 6th, 7th round. That's pointless. So we're starting a wide receiver. And you're probably like, I don't draft a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds. They might. And that's why I'm covering wide receivers. But before we jump into that, I do have to shout out today's sponsor, and that is Clean the World. Sean Sleipler, cleantheworld.org. Link is in the description. They help so many people. This is a sponsorship that isn't about making money. This sponsorship and what Sean does is about helping people, natural disaster, third world countries, the homeless. He gets some kits that has toothbrushes, toothpaste, soap, all that good stuff. He also gets them shower stations. He gets them water. He helps people. Click the link in the description. They also have really cool shirts that I wear from time to time on the channel. Really nice stuff. Go check it out. At least check it out. Cleantheworld.org. Check them out. So let's jump into this Mama Jam. And we're going to start from bottom to top. Bottom to top. We're going to go from my 5 to my 1 when it comes to what I think are the Dolphins' top 5 prospects. Now, you might not agree. I hope you don't agree. I hope you enlighten me. This is my favorite part of this, and now that the Dolphins have a first-round pick, I'm really starting to dive in, because the last 2 years I was like, I don't even know who these top prospects are, because it don't matter to me. It matters now. Enlighten me. Now, I don't have the top prospects in the wide receiver, like Harrison, and I don't have those 3 top guys because they're not going to be there at 21. I have guys that are realistically going to be there at 21 or realistically going to be there at 55. That's who I have on my list. So if you're like, how do you not have Harrison at number 1? You're out of your mind. It's because he's going to go top 5. He ain't going to be there at 21. Same thing with the other, the LSU wide receiver. There's so many. There's at least 3 receivers that will not, most definitely won't be there at 21. And then my number 1 probably won't be there either. But hey, I'm talking about some of them. So we're gonna start here at number 5, and this is the guy. Some people don't even have him in the first 2 rounds. Still, like PFF doesn't. I know that. I think PFF has him ranked like 80th, give or take. But my number 5 is Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy, 6'1", 172. He's not tall. He's not a big, lanky wide receiver. But the reason he made my top 5 because he has some things that he needs to work on. But the reason he made my top 5 is because he ran a 4.21. He is fast. That's one of his pros. He's functional NFL speed. Not just a straight line sprinter, but he's got the moves. He's got the versatility. He's, elite vertical threat, explosiveness, acceleration. He is fast, and you match him with Tyreek Hill. It's like Tyreek Hill A, Tyreek Hill B. He's got great footwork, great release, all that stuff. But here's why he's number 5, and probably why a lot of people, his 40 was a really great thing and really put his name on the map, but some people still don't have him as high as others. He struggles getting separation against physical coverage, against man-to-man press coverage. He kind of gets locked up. And that's something, at least with Tyreek Hill, if you jam him, he is still small, but he's physical enough to get off of those jams, get off of that press, and then you're screwed when he goes around you. That's why they don't press him a lot, because they don't want to deal with that over the top. So he deals with that. He doesn't have, the good hands, like I said. This is why, this is why you look at Tyreek Hill and you look at Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy has a lot of work to do to get where Tyreek Hill is, because Tyreek Hill has the physicality to get off. And that's where, to me, Xavier Worthy struggles a little bit, is he has a hard time getting off of that press. The physicality of it, the hand fighting, all that stuff, especially when he's, running verticals and stuff. He has a hard time fighting the hand fighting. Overall, he's 6'1", 172. He's super fast, but he's not strong. And that's what he's going to have to deal with in the NFL, is these big, strong, physical corners that are going to manhandle you. Yes, the NFL is super offense first, but they're going to manhandle you. So he's my number 5. If he was better physically, meaning like a little bit stronger and able to get off of this press coverage, get off the hand fighting, all that stuff, then I think I would probably have him higher. I think he'd be a first round pick, but I think that due to his, which he can work on, that's why he'll probably go in the second round. I don't think he makes it to the third round because of his 40 time, but I have him at number 5. My number 4 on this list, and this is where we start to get a little spicy. With these receivers. A lot of I've noticed that the receivers that I have on here, the slowest one is number 4. He's my slowest wide receiver. And number 4 is Troy Franklin, Oregon, 6'3", 187. He is the slowest wide receiver on my top 5, and he ran a 4.41. These receivers, even some of the corners this year, even the defensive linemen, these guys coming out of college are so fast this year. Holy crap-oly are these guys fast. Now, Troy Franklin possibly is going to be a first-round pick. I know some Bills fans really like Troy Franklin. There might be a run after the top 3 receivers get taken, which again, other people are going to have these top 3s and different, numbers. Someone might have Troy Franklin as their, number 2 receiver on their big board, but Troy Franklin might not make it. Like I said, there might be a run, and a lot of these names that I'm naming might not make it, but Troy Franklin, 6'3", 187. He's big, he's long, he's got good stride. His pre-steps, no false steps. He's very smooth, very fluid. Hand catcher. That's a huge thing, because we noticed with Jalen Waddle where he does that thing where he jumps up and he pushes his knees out and tries to catch it. He's a hand catcher. He's got long arms. He's got a great catch radius, really good footwork, quick release. I know he's dangerous. Very, very, very dangerous. Now, his cons, not a lot of route running when it comes to his route tree-esque, vertical routes and all that stuff. He does lack some of the ability and the movement that he needs to work on. Another guy who kind of has, not as weak as Xavier Worthy, but he has strength concerns. So, he doesn't like to fight for the ball, go up and make those catches and, get into the blocks and stuff like that. But with Troy Franklin and some of these guys that I'm going to start naming, their negatives aren't that long. This is a good wide receiving group in this 2024 draft. If the Dolphins take him with their first, because I don't think he makes it to 55. That's why these next 4 that I'm going to name, they're not making it to 55. So these are guys that you have to start thinking, are you taking at 21? You trading down from 21? If you want to add that third receiver now. If they add Odell, then I don't know if they'll add any of these guys at 21. If they don't add Odell, I know a lot of people are going to be pissed. I can tell in the comment section, probably like, we don't need a receiver. We need offensive line. We need defensive line. We need. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm just saying, we know how Mike McDaniel loves his receivers. So that's my number 4. My number 3. My number 3, I've heard his name being connected with the Dolphins a lot. And that is Ladd McConkey. I don't think there's anyone on here that I'm going to butcher their name. I think he's going to be the only one that I'm going to butcher their name. He is from Georgia. He is 6 foot, 185. He ran a 4.39. Ladd McConkey. I really hope that is his name. That's how you pronounce his name. It reminds me of Wes Welker a little bit. Like, he has that quickness, that acceleration. He's a slot. He's going to be a slot receiver. He's going to be, because he's 6 foot. He's going to be that. I'm trying to think of guys that he I just keep thinking of Wes Welker or, he played for the Broncos. Comment below. He played for the Broncos. He was Stokely. He played for the Broncos because he came over from the Colts, with Peyton Manning. Very good yak guy in the quick game. Maybe small at 6 foot, but he is very willing to block, and he fights through it, and he's very good at it. This is a guy. I don't know if he makes it. I don't know if he makes it to 55. And if he was there at 55, I probably would take him. I think he would be a very good number 3, like a better Braxton Berrios. No offense to Braxton Berrios. But his cons, his release, he kind of has a false step, so you kind of pick up on it. But he has a quick, fast step that it doesn't hurt his ability to be effective off the line. And he has a limited catch radius for jump balls because, again, he is 6 foot. That's about it. He's a tough slot receiver. And could he make it out of the first? Possibly. These first round receivers, you're looking for that number 1 guy. And I don't know if McConkey is a number 1 guy. He seems like he is more of that number 2, number 3 guy. So that's a name to look out for with the Miami Dolphins, from what I'm hearing. But it's his fluidity. It's the Edelman to him, the Welker to him, there's so many guys that I'm thinking of that I can't. Wayne Corbett type, you know what I'm saying? Like these short, stocky, threats at wide receiver. That's McConkey to me. I may be wrong. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think. And we'll get to my number 2 guy. This guy's definitely, I don't know if he's making it to 21. Don Mitchell. I don't know if he's making it 21. Texas, 6'4", 196, 4'3", 440. He is a long, tall man. Fast, fluid route runner, especially for his size. Again, he's 6'4". Fast footwork, quick release off the line, effective shoulder dip when running by defenders. And that is so important, especially if you're doing one of those, like, I'm going in, I'm going out, and you don't want to be touched by these defenders. You don't want your route to be inhibited or moved or affected. He's so good at that. He understands the nuances of getting open, finding the open spots on the field, especially when going deep, trying to, get yourself in those positions to help your quarterback drop the ball to him. He's another guy, like I said, I don't think he makes it to 21. His downside, his cons, the shoulder dip to avoid contact is good, but he needs more than that. He's willing to chop defenders' hands away as well, which you got to work at because you can also get offensive pass interference. His release speed is fast, but there's also that false waste of step, kind of you just go, just get off of there. He could do a better job at attacking the ball in the air, kind of going up at the highest point and getting it, especially with 50-50 balls, especially on those go routes and stuff. But he is, some people might have Mitchell higher than because from some places I've seen, He's like 5 on people's big board of, if you talk about the top 5 receivers in the NFL, when you talk about Harrison Jr. and some of those guys, they have him at like 5 or 6. Some people have him higher at like 3 or 4. I have him at 2 for the Dolphins because there's a faint possibility he's there at 21. And if you can grab him when they move on from Tyreek Hill, which, again, he's not getting any younger, so sooner rather than later, having him with Waddle is going to be dangerous, especially because, again, his size and his speed. Then my number one, that's not my number one. Then my number one, Brian Thomas Jr. A lot of people talk about Brian Thomas Jr. A lot of people talk about if Brian Thomas Jr. is there at number 21, you take him. I have other thoughts on other positions, which is for other videos. But he is from LSU, 6'4", 205 pounds. He ran a 4.33. Like I said, the slowest receiver on my list was Troy Franklin running a 4.41. He ran a 4.33, and he's 6'4", and he's 205 pounds. He's tall and he's big. Smooth, long strides with good top speed, consistent vertical threat. He's improved from 2023 when it comes to his footwork and his release, and he's willing to be a competitive blocker, which is good for our system because a lot of times we have those outside runs that really need that type of blocking from the wide receivers. His cons, not a lot of experience versus press, so he has to work on that, getting off of press, the hand fighting, getting off of these things and getting to your routes. His catch percentage was lower than preferred the past 3 years. Got to do a little bit better with the hands and not a make you miss type of receiver after the catch. Not a lot of yak, but again, running 4.33, this is something. His cons are definitely stuff you can work on. Not a lot of experience versus the press. His catch percentage was lower than they wanted it to be, and he's not a good yak guy. You can work on all 3 of these things, but the 6'4", 205, 4.33 40, his physicality, his willingness to block are things that you build off of, and that's why Brian Thomas Jr. is my number 1 receiver on my prospects. Comment below. Let me know what you think. Do you have guys in different positions? What is your thoughts on all that? Tomorrow we will be looking at the AFC East after free agency, where each team stands, who got better, who got worse, and we're going to look at the betting odds on the AFC East. For the Patreons, I think I'll have a new video out for you either. It's already out, or tonight you guys are going to get a new Patreon access or early access, or I don't remember what I named it. We're on episode 3. So if you are a patron, go check it out. And members, don't you worry, I got something in the plans for you guys. But like usual, stay classy. Offense out.